The Deepwater Horizon rig accident, the largest environmental disaster in U.S. history in 2010, shocked the entire world. The accident claimed the lives of 11 workers and caused a massive oil spill, releasing about 4.9 million barrels of oil and 275,000 tons of natural gas into the Gulf of Mexico over 86 days. The spilled oil not only severely polluted the open sea and deep water areas but also affected more than 1,930 kilometers of the Gulf's coastline, causing massive damage to the ecosystem and industries such as fisheries and tourism. After the rig fire was extinguished, rescue efforts and oil spill response operations began. Experts and environmental companies used various chemical and physical methods to recover the spilled oil, managing to collect and treat about half of it. However, a strange phenomenon occurred when a large portion of the oil mysteriously disappeared. No one could explain this disappearance, and it sparked many debates within the scientific community. Nevertheless, researchers did not stop searching for answers to this phenomenon. Some believed that there might be certain natural factors involved in the oil degradation process, but at that time, no one could provide a satisfactory explanation. The interaction between bacteria and oil in the marine environment, especially in the Gulf of Mexico, tells an interesting story of nature's adaptation. Throughout the process of oil exploration, oil not only appears in major spills but also seeps from natural cracks beneath the seabed. These small amounts of oil have existed during the entire extraction process. Although not always present in large quantities, they are enough for bacteria in the area to gradually develop the ability to process them. This has led scientists to believe that nature has developed an immune system to cope with oil. In the Gulf of Mexico, where there are many natural oil seeps and it is also an important oil transportation route, the marine ecosystem has developed special bacteria capable of degrading crude oil. These bacteria not only survive but also thrive under oily conditions. Scientists discovered that when oil enters seawater, these bacteria automatically move toward the oil source and begin to use it as a food source. This shows that, just as the human body can develop immunity to snake venom through small doses, nature can also develop mechanisms to cope with oil pollution. These bacteria have become an important part of the marine ecosystem, helping to maintain environmental balance. Although many people believe that the Gulf of Mexico's ecosystem is better able to cope with oil than other areas, in fact, this ability is not limited to this region. Studies have shown that oil-degrading bacteria exist in most oceans worldwide, from the Arctic to the Antarctic. This means that, not only in the Gulf of Mexico but anywhere oil leaks into the marine environment, bacteria can help process and naturally break it down. The marine ecosystem and its natural oil handling capacity, although helpful, are not unlimited. Every year, millions of tons of oil from natural sources, such as oil seeps, leak into the ocean. This amount of oil is not small, but thanks to the presence of millions of oil-degrading marine bacteria, the sea is not always polluted. These bacteria act as a natural defense system for the ocean, helping to maintain ecological balance. Scientists have shown that these bacteria are the reason why our oceans are never entirely covered in oil, as often warned in pollution alerts. They exist and thrive in the marine environment, ready to handle oil whenever a spill occurs. These bacteria can live in all oceans worldwide and operate in almost every marine region, from the Antarctic to the Arctic. However, problems arise when oil spills exceed the limit, such as in human-caused oil spills, for example, the Gulf of Mexico oil spill. At that time, the amount of oil may be too large for the bacteria to handle. Oil can accumulate, wash ashore, and cause serious ecological problems. When the affected area is too large, natural capacity cannot process all the oil, and human intervention is needed. This raises a major issue when large-scale oil spills occur. The bacteria may not be strong enough to handle all the oil without human intervention. Without timely support and intervention, the affected areas may face serious environmental consequences, threatening the marine ecosystem and the organisms living there. Methods of oil spill treatment using natural and artificial approaches. Therefore, besides relying on the natural ability of bacteria, humans need to research and apply supporting methods to handle large-scale oil spills more effectively. One of the quick and simple ways to deal with oil spills is siting, which means introducing bacteria into contaminated areas to help them break down the oil. In laboratory environments, this method has proven to be quite effective. However, when tested in the field, the results are not always as expected. Some field studies did not yield clear results, and in some cases, there was no noticeable improvement compared to natural processes. This is because, in reality, during oil spills, natural bacteria have already started to thrive as soon as the oil appears. Therefore, adding bacteria to seawater may not bring much additional benefit. However, there is another method believed to be more effective, which is fertilizing natural bacterial communities. Scientists have experimented by adding nitrogen and phosphorus to the water environment, stimulating bacterial growth and accelerating the oil degradation process. This method has shown more promising results compared to siding, although the oil breakdown process still requires a lot of time, sometimes several days, weeks, or even months before noticeable results are seen. Bacteria cannot work too fast, and currently, scientists have not found a way to make them act more quickly. In fact, if there were bacteria that could degrade oil in just a few hours or days, they would also consume asphalt and plastic on newly constructed roads, which would cause serious consequences. Crude oil is highly complex, consisting of many different components, so no single type of bacteria can degrade all the substances present in it. Therefore, oil degradation is truly the task of a bacterial community, and only when they work together can they effectively handle the oil. The complex relationship between bacteria and chemicals. In the Gulf of Mexico oil spill, scientists decided that these tiny bacteria were the ultimate weapon to deal with the massive amount of oil from the Deepwater Horizon rig. However, since it was impossible to make bacteria work faster, another solution was introduced, using more than 3 million liters of dispersants to break the oil into smaller droplets, making it easier for bacteria to digest. This is similar to cutting food into smaller pieces to make it easier for pets to eat. However, bacteria are not like our pets, they cannot simply eat oil that easily. Crude oil is mainly composed of hydrocarbon compounds, and bacteria degrade oil by using these compounds as a food source. This process is highly complex, involving many sophisticated chemical reactions that scientists are still studying. However, the final result is that bacteria consume the oil and leave behind non-toxic carbon dioxide in the water. Currently, humans can only handle about 15% to 25% of spilled oil using mechanical methods, such as collecting oil from the water surface or burning the oil. In major oil spills like the Exxon Valdez in Alaska or the Deepwater Horizon disaster, these methods have been applied, but the results have not been as effective as expected. Although dispersants help break oil into smaller droplets, they can also harm marine organisms, including the very bacteria that have the ability to degrade oil. Therefore, scientists are currently researching chemicals that not only do not harm bacteria but also support them in breaking down oil. However, this is a very complex field of research and has yet to yield clear results. In addition, other methods such as using physical barriers to prevent the spread of oil are also being applied. However, overall, bacteria are truly the best solution, proving to be much more effective than current methods, especially when dealing with large-scale oil spills. When it comes to oil spill treatment and the potential of bacteria, cleaning up oil spills on land is not as simple as we might think. You can collect the oil, but this only shifts the problem elsewhere, and the contaminated soil will not simply evaporate. As for chemicals, the situation is not any brighter. These chemicals can leave behind toxic residues that are even more dangerous than the oil itself, especially when they combine with degraded oil. These substances can seriously harm coral reefs. Moreover, when using containment measures such as barriers to isolate oil from water areas, you will face many challenges. Strong waves and winds can damage the barriers, leading to the failure of all efforts to prevent oil from spreading. Therefore, current methods to handle oil spills in rivers and lakes are not truly effective. They can only recover a small portion of the oil, while the rest continues to pollute the water. In contrast, bacteria tell a different story. Bacteria can be an excellent solution, but we must be very careful. Human intervention in natural processes sometimes leads to the opposite result. Imagine if scientists found a way to grow bacteria to help them digest oil. It sounds fantastic, but there are still many concerns. Some bacteria might begin to reproduce too quickly near oil refineries and grow so fast that oil companies could face serious trouble. These bacteria could clog their pipelines, and certainly, no one wants their product stuck before it even leaves the plant. Therefore, we need to have a proper amount of bacteria, enough to clean the environment without causing further contamination. Adjusting the quantity and distribution of bacteria is a very important factor because no one really knows what bacteria will do next. The cooperative relationship between bacteria and marine organisms. Recently, scientists from Germany and the US discovered an interesting phenomenon in the Gulf of Mexico, where oil and tar escape from the seabed, forming structures resembling tar volcanoes. In these places where tar has solidified, a rich ecosystem has developed, including mussels, crabs, worms, manatees, and many other animals that seem unbothered by their interaction with oil. The special thing is that these organisms cannot consume oil or tar, and food sources at such depths are extremely scarce, reaching depths of about 3,000 meters, about 9,800 feet. This is where bacteria come into play. The bacteria live inside these organisms, protecting them from competition with free-living bacteria and helping to break down oil into energy and carbon. The result is a symbiotic relationship where both the bacteria and their hosts benefit. This is not a newly formed relationship created to deal with oil pollution but rather a long-established relationship. The bacteria within these organisms are even genetically different from those living freely in the environment. In science, these methods are called bioremediation, which refers to the use of living organisms to break down pollutants in the environment, and bacteria are just one example. Among the many organisms that can participate in this process, another example is fungi from the genus Aspergillus. If you introduce these fungi into a container filled with engine oil, they will grow and gradually break down the oil into harmless substances. This genus has hundreds of species and can be used for oil spill treatment. In addition, there are also so-called plastic-eating worms, although they are not actually worms but bacteria living inside them. The discovery of a bacterium capable of breaking down polyethylene terephthalate, commonly known as PET, a popular plastic used for making bottles, has brought a ray of hope. This bacterium can eat a plastic bottle in less than 24 hours, whereas PET usually takes more than 450 years to decompose naturally. However, you cannot simply release these bacteria into the ocean to handle floating plastic waste. Instead, you can study them to make plastic recycling more efficient and less harmful. These bioremediation methods are much more environmentally friendly than current industrial technologies. This is how nature has solved the pollution problem on its own, and our mission is simply to modify and improve these bacteria and fungi to make them more useful in treating pollutants. Advances in using bacteria to treat oil spills. Scientists have been researching ways to genetically modify bacteria to enhance their oil-degrading abilities. When preparing for this video, it was found that a 2010 study suggested that no artificial bacteria were more effective than natural ones. However, more than 10 years have passed, and things have changed. In 2022, researchers developed biological products that can be used to treat ocean oil spills. These biological products are oil-eating bacteria capable of breaking down hydrocarbons in oil, making it easier to remove oil from the environment. At the Faculty of Science, Bangkok, a laboratory produced 3 different types of products, including a bacterial solution for soil, bacterial pellets for sand, and a separate water filtration solution. Sounds fascinating, right? However, like all new technologies, the use of artificial bacteria also has some unintended side effects. Bacteria that used to thrive around shipwrecks in the Gulf of Mexico changed significantly after the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010. This change may have harmed the ships and marine life around them. The Gulf of Mexico has over 2,000 shipwrecks, some of which have been there for more than 500 years. These shipwrecks act as artificial reefs, providing habitats for marine ecosystems. However, after the oil spill, some of the oil settled at the bottom of the sea, and bacteria grew in much larger numbers than before. This increase in bacterial populations could severely affect the entire microbial ecosystem and may lead to the rapid corrosion of ship hulls, resulting in the loss of historical heritage that we have preserved until today. This is not the kind of outcome we hope for from an oil spill. The sun, an unexpected ally in oil spill treatment. However, another factor, surprisingly, has helped clean up oil spills: sunlight. Scientists believe that sunlight played an essential role in breaking down the remaining oil on the water's surface that bacteria could not process. This process is called photodissolution, and recent studies suggest that it may have helped remove 3% to 17% of the floating oil in the Gulf of Mexico. In fact, this portion of the oil disappeared before humans or bacteria could even intervene. Scientists explained that when oil absorbs sunlight,
it transforms into compounds that can then dissolve into seawater.
So, the sun not only helps warm the earth but can also assist in breaking down oil spills without the need for too much technology or human intervention. This is indeed an exciting discovery, making oil spill treatment more effective thanks to the natural power of sunlight. Hopefully, in the future, we will be able to completely solve the problem of oil spills in the oceans. And if you've made it this far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the Tuet Matt channel to follow more useful information.
Thank you for watching, and see you next time.